just yet.
Woohoo! USA! USA!
We have an action-packed hour for you 6 p.m. drivers.
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Matt Skraby wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for October 10th, 2025. We got some good sports on right now, actually. I mean, obviously we have the ALDS going on right now. Tarek Skubal has struck out the big dumper with a 101-mile-an-hour fastball, so I'll keep you up to date on that. I believe the Mariners are still leading that game 1-0 after a sacrifice fly earlier in the game. We also have the WNBA finals. It's looking like it's going to go towards the Las Vegas Aces. The Aces, last time I looked, were up a bunch. So if anything happens there, I will let you know. But mostly tonight, we're going to talk Padres. We're going to talk. We'll talk about that suspension that Jose Iglesias is going to have to serve. The 1-game suspension. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about Brian Daboll in the Jackson Dart concussion protocol. I really, it was weird last night. It kind of bothered me a little bit. I don't know why it bothered me so much, but we'll talk about that. And then also we'll talk about, during our show, Gwen and Chris, we had the countdown, which was top 5 things you want the Padres to do in the offseason, and we'll go through that a little bit. Well, let's start with the suspension of Jose Iglesias, and he was also fined. So he's been suspended 1 game and fined. Also, Xander Bogaerts has just been fined. He has not been suspended. But if you remember that video of the umpires leaving the field in Chicago after Game 3, and you see the Padres players getting into it with the umpires, that's the video we're all talking about. That is the incident that we're talking about. DJ Rayburn is the umpire, and he was the one who was behind the plate that night. But the video surfaced, and you can totally see. Well, number one, I think it's crazy that they have the umpires exiting through the visitors' dugout. And I know this is Wrigley Field. It's really old, and so that's how they have to do it. But there's got to be a different way. In a situation like that, in a big game and a bad call, you know you get bad calls all the time. But having them exit right after the game, right after their season ended, and having them exit through the visitor dugout was they should probably think of something else for them to do, because that's not a good situation for anyone. But Jose Iglesias does go at the umpire. I'm not really sure what was said. No one really is sure what was said, but Bogaerts after the game told the Union Tribune after confronting Rayburn, he said, "Talk about it now. What do you want me to do? It's a ball. Messed up the whole game. You know, I mean, I can't go back in time, and talking about it now won't change anything. So it was bad. And thank God for ABS next year, because this is terrible." Yeah. I mean, ABS would have helped in the Phillies and Dodgers yesterday as well, but I don't want to go and rely on ABS for everything. And actually, I've been paying attention pretty closely to the umpires' scorecards that get put out on Twitter. And a lot of these guys have really good ratings for the playoffs. So it's not like they're terrible umpires. They're actually pretty good umpires. But they, when you make a bad call in a huge moment, that's what people are going to remember. And that is what is going to be remembered about the Phillies last night, because Christopher Sanchez, it was a strike and it was called a ball. The umpire came and actually apologized to him after the game. And we talked about it during the Big Five. Like, what's the point of apologizing after the game? I know that it's to maybe make the umpire feel better, because he does feel bad about something. He does feel bad about making a call that was wrong, and it ended up costing the Phillies the game. At the time, he didn't know it was going to cost the Phillies the game, but at the same time, it was a ball that wasn't even like borderline. It was a strike. So his Mark Wegner's umpire scorecard last night, 96% called strike accuracy. 2 of the 52 strikes called were true balls. I think that's pretty good. 10 of the 97 called balls were true strikes. That is not good. His called ball accuracy was 90%. And the most impactful missed call Mark Wegner had last night was that pitch from Sanchez to Alex Call, which would have struck him out and the bases would have been empty with 2 outs. Instead, he walked him, and we know what happened from there. But that game last night between the Phillies and the Dodgers, it was an exciting game. I got to say, I was locked into this game. I thought this game was the epitome of playoff baseball. Low scoring, good pitching, good defense for the most part. And I say for the most part because that poor pitcher, Orion Kirkring, he did not have a good night. And I'm pretty sure he didn't have a good day, because that's going to stick in his mind for a really, really long time. I feel bad for the guy. Like, I don't want to see someone fail like that on the stage that they failed on, because that is a massive stage. The playoffs, elimination game, 11th inning, you got the bases loaded. You could have easily gone to first, and you didn't. You ended up kind of picking the ball up, and then you botched the throw home. And to his credit, he did stand there after. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to play that a little bit later, because I think that people need to hear from these guys after they make a play like that, because you could tell it's eating him alive. And you could tell it's something that he is going to think about all offseason. But one of the things I thought was really cool about the incident was that his teammates immediately came over to him and they supported him. And then his manager, when he was walking down the steps of the dugout, Rob Thompson stopped him and said whatever he said to him. But Rob Thompson made sure that he went out of his way to get some words into Orion Kirkring, because he was in a lonely position right there. And honestly, there's many things that contributed to the Phillies losing that series. Why not, talk about the first 2 games and the lack of hitting from the Phillies stars? So that's not on Orion Kirkring, but I really enjoyed seeing those guys come to his, not rescue, but come to his side and be there for him, because that is a lonely world. And it tells you that those guys are close, and it tells you that those guys like him and that he's a good guy. But to end a game that way, that is one of the worst ways I think I could ever imagine my team losing a game. That would be brutal. And especially since Andy Pages was barely halfway up the first base line too. So if, Realmuto was pointing to first, if Kirkring picks it up, sees Realmuto, and then throws to first, who knows if he makes a good throw or whatever. But if he does that, the inning is over. They move on to the 12th. We're not talking about it, but he just panicked. And that is a hard thing to stomach. But he's still got plenty of career ahead of him. He's still got all of that. It's going to be something that sticks with this team for the rest of the offseason. I'm just glad that the Padres didn't have that happen to them, because I know that we would be talking about it until the end of time. And I've seen people saying this is a Bill Buckner moment for him. I don't think so. I really hope that this is not what this guy is remembered for, because that would be unfortunate to be remembered for one play, just like Bill Buckner. I mean, Bill Buckner had it tough after he ruined the game. And then for the rest of time, people have just been talking about that ruined play. And his career has been summed up by him messing up and losing a game. So I'm hoping that Orion Kirkring is not the same guy. And we're not going to talk about this forever, because I don't think that he deserves to be talked about it forever. Anyway, I'm going to go back to the I started talking about the Padres being suspended, and then I ended up on a Ryan Kirkring. But back to the Padres being suspended and Bogarts being fined. I don't really think that they should have been. I don't think Iglesias should have been suspended a game. I think that fines are okay. Fines I can understand because it's a punishment. It hits the guy right in the wallet, and no one wants to be paying fines. Now I haven't seen the fine amount yet, and I don't know if we will see it, but I don't know that Iglesias needed to be suspended a game. So if he plays for the Padres next year, he's going to have to sit out the first game of the year. If he plays elsewhere, he's going to have to sit out the first game of the year. But I have a massive problem, and this year, more than any year, I have become more and more not angry or upset, but I've become more and more aware of the fact that these umpires don't have to talk to anyone after the game. And I think that you need to somehow put these guys in front of a microphone and explain their calls. I don't think that's unfair. These guys are as much of a part of a game and deciding a game as some of the players are. And so if you're going to, like DJ Rayburn, you can see the video of him coming down the steps and he's yelling at Jose Iglesias too. He's not in the clear in this entire thing. Like if you're an umpire, and maybe I'm simplifying it too much and maybe I'm making it something that it's too easy in my head, but if you're an umpire, you just got to walk down those stairs and you should not engage with the team. If your locker room is right off the visitor's dugout, then you walk down and you go into the locker room. I think we've talked about this so many times, and I know I don't want to lump all umpires together, but I think that the ego sometimes of the umpires are overshadowing the game. And I know this has been a thing for a long time. We have Angel Hernandez, we had Joe West, we have lots of guys who were, I guess, novelty umpires. I honestly don't think that we should even know umpires' names because they shouldn't be that big of a part of the game. I don't really remember referees' names if they call a bad for the NFL, if they have a bad penalty or they make a bad call. I don't remember that. But there is a ton on the line. And in the playoffs, there's legacy on the line. There's bonuses on the line. There is a lot on the line. And to have someone make a bad call and then just go on their merry way, it doesn't sit right with me. Then you may ask, well, what is he going to say? What is he going to say in his press conference? Well, I want to know, why did he call it down? And he told Xander, Tony told me this, that Xander asked him, or he turned to the umpire after the strike was called. He said, "You got that down?" And the umpire said that to Xander, yeah, he had it down because it was a ball. But there needs to be some sort of recourse in my mind about this. I just don't like it. And whatever, it's one game suspension, but still, I think that the bigger problem here for me is that umpires are just go unchecked all the time. They just move on with their day, even if they make terrible calls. Like I can remember a few years ago when the Padres were playing the Marlins, I was on post game. It wasn't even a few years ago. It was actually a really long time ago. I was on post game, and Doug Eddings, this is the calm down Trace game where Doug Eddings yelled into the dugout, didn't even know Jay Stingler's name. But that day, I remember Doug Eddings calling the game in a way of, hey, I'm mad at you guys. I don't really want to give you the close pitches, and that should never happen. So when ABS comes in, their teams are going to have two chances, and if they challenge and it's wrong, then they lose their chance, but they keep their chance if they're right. I think that ABS is going to balance it out a little bit, but there's still an issue with the umpire thinking that they're bigger than the game. And I don't want to lump all umpires in because all umpires are not like that. But you got to be able to take the heat if you're going to make a bad call. And you know that those other umpires in the field and at Wrigley Field in Chicago, they all saw that pitch And you know that they all thought it was low, but they're going to defend their guy and they're going to not say anything, but there needs to be more recourse, I think. All right, I'm Matt Skraby. This is the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. It's the bottom of the fourth inning up in Seattle. Seattle still leads 1-0. Tarek Skubal still pitching for the Tigers. He's got 65 pitches. There's one out, and our favorite guy, Jorge Polanco, is at the plate right now for the Mariners. So I'll keep you up to date on that. WNBA Finals is 54-38 Las Vegas over the Phoenix Mercury. So that one, not really close, but we'll keep an eye on it. When we get back, I want to talk a little bit more about Banana Ball, because Banana Ball is sweeping the nation. And Banana Ball is, I think, in danger of something. And I'll tell you what I think they're in danger of when we get back here on 97.3 The Fan.
Life surges come.
All right, we had some questions earlier about whether or not George Kirby was the guy for the Mariners to start tonight, but George Kirby for the Mariners has gone. He's in the top of the fifth, no outs, and the Mariners still lead 1-0, although there are two guys throwing in the bullpen. So he is going to be removed from this game as soon as the matchup, I think, allows it. If you want to watch the Skraby Show, you can. Just go to YouTube, search 97.3 The Fan, or you could go to the super secret Skrabinator chat, youtube.com/the Skraby Show, and there are some Skrabinators in there, and that's where everybody chats and all of that stuff. So you can go Facebook 97.3 The Fan, you can go to my Twitter @Matt Skraby, and you can also go on Twitch 97.3 The Fan as well there. Real quick, we talked about Paul Pierce yesterday. Apparently, he was reportedly arrested for a DUI, and there was an accident on the freeway, and so the cops saw that there was a car that wasn't moving, so they went up to it, and it ended up being Paul Pierce, and he was sleeping, and so they took him in. They conducted a sobriety check. They noticed signs of alcohol impairment. Well, he went to Instagram yesterday, and he said that he was just old and tired. That's what he said. He said, imagine being stuck in standstill traffic for 45 minutes and falling asleep. I took this picture that night because I've never been in standstill traffic for this long. I'm old, I'm tired, and I fell asleep. I'm good, y'all. Thanks for the love. My question is, and if he really was just old and tired, that's all good. I'm happy about that because I don't want people driving drunk out there or high. But I don't know that being tired is a probable cause for a police officer to pull you out of the car and make you do a sobriety. If they smell alcohol, they're going to pull you out of the car. So I'm not real sure who to believe here. I'm not real sure. I've never heard of this, and I have heard a lot of crazy stories with my fellow alcoholics at AA and just meeting people here and there. I've heard some insane stories, but I never have heard of someone falling asleep in standstill traffic on the freeway because they were tired. I've been plenty tired before. I don't know sober me would ever fall asleep while I'm driving or at least parked. I'm not sure what happened here, but Paul Pierce went right to Instagram and tried to rectify and say that he was old and tired. So I will hold judgment until we find out what actually happened, because there's two different stories here, and Paul Pierce is saying that he was not drunk at all. He was just tired, which can be a thing, but I've never heard of anyone without drugs or alcohol involved falling asleep while they're on the freeway, even if they're parked. That would be the place I would not fall asleep. So that's the latest on Paul Pierce. I told you last segment, Orion Kirkring actually spoke to the media after he made the worst play of his life. And so I give him a lot of credit for standing up and talking to the media, especially in a town like Philadelphia, where it's really, really tough to make a mistake because they will never let you forget it. But here's about a minute and a half clip, and this is from after the game, and I wanted everybody to hear it because I do think that big failures like this are something that sticks in people's minds. And I don't want this guy to like go down the rabbit hole because of this happening, but you could hear it in his voice here. You could hear him kind of trying to wrap his mind around it as well. But here's Ryan Kirkering with the Phillies media after the game.
Just shit off my foot. Just kind of, once that pressure got to me, just thought it was a faster throw to JT, a little quicker throw than trying to cross body at the Bryce. So just throw.
Yeah. Did you hear them telling you to go to first at all, or were you just in the moment? It wasn't even
Just in the moment.
Yeah.
Can you see JT pointing in that moment, or is it just kind of looking up?
Just kind of looking up, just be ready to go.
I mean, a lot of guys have never unique first ones there. Just what the guys say you know.
Just keep your head up. It's honest mistake. Just it's baseball. And just keep your head up. You'll be good for a long time to come. It's not my fault. Just that opportunity to score. Just keep your head up.
Conversation with Rob too. What did he say? What does that say mean to you? All those guys picking you up so quick.
It means a lot. It shows they care a lot. Just means everything for sure.
I'm sure a lot of guys in here have had moments early in their career that, they can kind of remember very vividly. How much do you think you can use this kind of in the off season to for good?
For sure. Yeah, a wall with a tennis ball for sure. But yeah, just kind of keep going with it. Hopefully it started a long career. Just keep back in my head of this really sucks right now, but hopefully keep pushing and get over this hump. Keep pushing.
All right, there was Ryan Kirkering after the game, and I got to give credit to Phillies media because Phillies media could have gone in on him, but I think they realized the situation. I think they realized that he was struggling with the play that he did not make, and so I got to give them a little bit of credit for not jumping in a little bit too crazy on him. They could have, and media has done that in the past, but I like what he said. He's going to learn from this and move forward. I think this is something that people can learn from, and that meaning you can make massive mistakes in your life, but if you move forward and you learn from your mistakes and you don't make the mistakes again, then things will get better. And I like that he said that he can build on it, and I like that he said he kind of made a joke there at the end that he's going to do more drills and stuff. But man, that is a terrible feeling. Oscar on the chat says, as a baseball guy, this is so hard to hear. Nobody knows what he's going through. It sucks so bad. Yeah, nobody does know what he's going through. Maybe Bill Buckner knows what he's going through. All right. I went through the entire segment. I wanted to talk about Banana Ball. You know what? I will talk about Banana Ball here. And then on the other side, I wanted to touch on our countdown from earlier today, which is the top 5 things you want to see the Padres do in the offseason. But the Savannah Bananas are the biggest baseball show in the country. And they have built themselves to a lot of fans. They have built themselves up to be a powerhouse right now. I mean, they are selling out 80,000 seat stadiums. They are selling out every single stadium. When I went to the game at Petco Park, I was stunned. Not at the people being there, but the amount of people that were there in their seats and ready to go for the game to start. And that shows me what kind of brand or what kind of support they have from a lot of people out there, because Banana Ball is something that people want to go see. It's like I've never been one to go to like shows in Las Vegas or anything like that, but it's like you want to go see the man, this is going to make me sound really old, but you want to go see, what were those guys with the Tigers? I can't remember what those guys with the Tigers, what is their name? Gosh, I can't remember, but everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? The Tiger guys. They were in Vegas for a long time, and they sold out shows all the time. I guess I can go with Wayne Newton too. You want to go see Wayne Newton? Yeah, Siegfried and Roy. Thank you very much, Jacob and Katrina. Those guys, you want to go see them. But here's where I think they are in danger of losing the appeal of Banana Ball. once you expand, which is what they're doing, and make things bigger, I think you lose the small town time feel that most people loved. And I also think expanding and creating more teams waters down the product. Now, when they're traveling around the country and they're doing these things, are the Bananas going to be the team that is playing in every one of these games? Because now I know they have 6 teams and they're expanding to 2 more teams. But I don't know how many people are going to be interested in seeing the 2 random teams. I think the draw is the Savannah Bananas. The draw is not these other teams. Like, now you're kind of messing, in my opinion, and I'm not trashing them because they're extremely successful and they are really, they put on a good show. I will say that I was entertained by the show that was around me throughout the game. But I think that people are going to see that show. They're not going to go see the show, and I'm just making up cities. They're not going to go see the Detroit-Seattle show. I think people want to see the Savannah Bananas. And when you try to expand like this, and when you get big too fast, it actually takes away some of the charm. And I think the charm is a big part of their product. And the charm is what makes kids love this, and parents love this. And I think that I know that you want to make more money as a business, and I know that you want to take advantage of the popularity that you have right now, but I don't know that expanding this fast is a good thing for them, because the product is the banana, or are the Bananas to me. Now, maybe I'm completely wrong, and I know there's people in the chat that are Banana fans and they can tell me. I know that they're wrong, or that I could be wrong. But when I went to see the Savannah Banana show. I did not go see the Firefighters. I did not go see the other teams. Excuse me. That came out of nowhere. Oh, Katrina says they expanded because people started loving the party animals who were the original visitors. So why is it that you can't expand and make more dates and things with the Savannah Bananas? Now you're kind of fracturing your product, in my mind, and you are creating, I understand you're creating more teams to cheer for, but are they going to be as good? Are they going to be as fun? Are they going to be similar, these other games, on top of the Savannah Bananas games? Jacob said that he was rooting for the Firefighters at the game at Petco. I was too. There was a firefighter player that hit a home run to left field, and it was a deep shot. And I was impressed, because these guys are not throwing 95, 96, 97 miles an hour. Katrina says, same reason MLB has expansion, goes into other cities. Yes, they go into other cities because there's more opportunity, and I hate to be this guy right now, but Major League Baseball is being played for real. The show that is put on by the Bananas, I know that it is real, and they are playing baseball and they are keeping score, but to me it's not like, I would never bet on a Bananas game, because it's all for entertainment and fun. It's not for the baseball. It's not for the records, the stats, the wins and losses, all that stuff. It's not for that. So I think that the business model, if I can get into my business brain I did get a degree from the University of San Francisco. The business model is not conducive to quick expansion, because the Bananas are the draw right now. Katrina says, get more local fans. Texas tailgaters have a big following in Texas with country fans now. Oscar says, WWE is entertainment. Yes, it is. It is entertainment. But when I go see WWE, I'm seeing the guys that I want to see. I'm trying to think of like current WWE. Roman Reigns. I want to see the biggest guys. If I'm a kid and I'm watching Banana Ball, I want to see those guys on that team. Oscar says, believe it or not, wrestling is not real. You just blew my mind. Andy says, at least they're trying. I'll give you that, Andy. And let me say this one more time. Let me say this one more time about the bananas. I am not saying that it's a bad thing. I am not saying that it is you shouldn't like this. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying what I'm seeing from my seat and what I'm thinking, because I don't have any kids, so I wouldn't be the right candidate for them. But maybe, and like I said, maybe I'm wrong about this whole thing. KZD 619. I was going to say the same thing. The team in Texas has a huge following. I think you're underestimating how many fans the other teams might bring out. You could be right. I could be underestimating. And if I'm wrong, I will stay here and I will say that I am wrong. I am not saying that my opinion is the only opinion. Katrina says, and that's why she likes it, there isn't the pressure of a game like there is on a Padres game where folks live and die on the pitches. Okay, I can get that. I can get that. But the bananas to me are expanding too fast. And I hope they don't lose their appeal. Get it? That was a bad joke. And it's especially a bad joke when no one's in the room with you to like laugh. Like, that felt really flat. On the other side of the break, this is the Skraby Show. I'm Matt Skraby. On the other side of the break, we're going to go through some of the things we talked about earlier about the Padres and what we needed them to do in the offseason. Also, we will talk about the Daily Gripe on 97.3 The Fan.
Ben and Wood.
Final segment of the Skraby Show. Final segment for 97.3, the Fan of the Week. Big things happening in the ALDS between the Mariners and the Tigers. It is what inning is it? Top of the 6th. And Javi Baez lit off the inning with a double. And then Kerry Carpenter homered. 2-run shot. Puts the Tigers up 2-1 with how many outs now? 3, 6, 9, 12 outs to go. I mean, I was telling the guys earlier before they left when we were watching the game that I was kind of jealous of all of the people in the stadium that get to experience a game like that, because I will never forget the 2022 playoffs when they beat the Dodgers. I was there. It was 1000% one of the craziest experiences I've ever had in my life, because I literally felt like the energy of the stadium was inside of me. I felt like it was in me. It was in my veins. And I remember just everybody losing their mind. I remember singing in the rain with Blink-182. But it must be the end of the week, because now all of a sudden I'm like not able to talk. But I think that is balanced out by the 2-run shot that goes against your team, and now you're down 1 run with 12 outs to go. That is not a good feeling. That is not a good feeling at all, especially when you had the lead 1-0 and George Kirby was actually pitching really well. Tarek Skubal's just obviously on another level. He has 11 Ks tonight already, which the over-under for his Ks was 9.5, so he went over. George Kirby, 5 innings, only gave up 3 hits. He's going to have one of those runs count for one of those home run balls. And I really am jealous of it, but at the same time, I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I can handle that. Don't know I can handle that. All right, let's get to the Padres real quick. Not real quick, but let's get to the Padres. So we talked about it, the countdown, top 5 things we want to see the Padres do this offseason. And my number 5, AJ Preller extension. I actually think maybe I could have moved this a little bit higher on the list, because this is very, very, very important. This is one of those things that is, I think, a franchise changer if they don't bring him back. I mean, obviously the franchise changer, but I think this is something that we would talk about for years and years and years and years and years. And so I think they have to figure something out. He can't be a lame duck general manager. I don't think you're going to find someone as creative and willing to work with the ownership as well as AJ Preller has done. So I think they need to get that done. My number 4 was seriously look at the bunt culture. And when I say seriously look at the bunt culture, I want them to ask themselves if this is the right strategy for them to be using, because it can work at times, but when you are not hitting the ball at all and you're not hitting home runs, you cannot win games with a bunt culture. And I say that after they won 90 games with a bunt culture. But we saw how in the playoffs, the lack of power was glaring. And John Seidler's email to everyone earlier this week said that they saw what they needed to improve on. It exposed some things. So I wonder if that means that they're going to adjust the way they do things at the plate, their hitting philosophy. I wonder if they're going to completely change the hitting philosophy. I doubt that highly, but they need to look into it, because it worked for the most part in 2024. 2025, it did not work as well. And I know all teams bunt, and I know if Tony was here, he would argue with me about it, but I really do think they need to check that out. Number 3, they have to figure out how to get Ryan O'Hearn to be a Padre. I don't even care if it's for a long time, but for 2026, I definitely think they need Ryan O'Hearn on this team. And I know it's going to cost a little bit, and especially if we're, maybe bringing in the Kyle Schwarbers of the world, which I actually don't believe is going to happen, but at the same time, it's fun to dream. Ryan O'Hearn proved to me that he's a guy who would make this team better. He's a good defender. He can play multiple positions. He's also a lefty who can hit for power. And this year, he was very good against lefties. So I think you need to find a way to bring Ryan O'Hearn back because that would help a lot. And Manny Machado did mention him by name. So you know that Manny's going to want Ryan O'Hearn back if he mentions him by name. Number 2, figure out the Michael King situation. Because most likely, Dylan Cease is not going to be on the Padres next year. He's a free agent. He's a guy who makes every one of his starts. He strikes out 200 guys. The underlying stats are good. There is a team out there that's going to pay him good money to be their pitcher. Now, I hope that he doesn't go there and just be completely lights out, but I'm going to prepare myself for that possibility. I feel like Dylan Cease's time in San Diego will not be remembered fondly, but I don't think that should be the case. He did struggle this year, but I think there is a lot of value in a guy making every one of his starts and striking out a lot of guys. That's exactly what they want in a pitcher these days. And if he wanted to go deep into a game, he could. He had no problem throwing over 100 pitches in a game. So not Dylan Cease, but back to Michael King. Michael King, I think maybe his value was lessened a little bit this season because he wasn't able to pitch due to injury. I know that some teams don't really care about that, but I do think that Michael King maybe would like to come back to the Padres for one more year to prove what he can do. Maybe they give him another 1-year deal or 2-year deal with some options, be creative and bring him back. You cannot go into next year without Dylan Cease or Michael King. You have to have one. Joe Musgrove's coming back. Yes. They got some other guys. They got Vasquez. Yu Darvish is a question mark, but you cannot go into next season without Michael King or Dylan Cease. That would leave the rotation in a terrible spot. So my number 2 thing the Padres need to do in the offseason is figure out the Michael King situation. And now the number 1 thing that I think the Padres need to do this offseason is bring in a power hitter. It was frustrating at times this year to watch this team squander opportunities. And you know what I thought the other day too? I thought, man, that inning by the Phillies, the 1-2-3 inning for the top of the order, that kind of looked like the Padres a little bit. And it reminded me that other teams do that too. So it's not just the Padres. It just feels like that at the time, that it's only your team that's struggling hitting. But this is the playoffs, and it's tough to hit. So bring in a power hitter. I would love Kyle Schwarber to be a part of the Padres. I'm not sure that Kyle Schwarber is going to ever step foot in Petco Park as a Padre, but it would be kind of fun. 1 home run this year, every 11 at-bats for Kyle Schwarber. And he has the longest home run in Petco Park history. I'm going to have my daily gripe in just a second, but I got to give my movie recommendation for today, my Halloween movie recommendation. And I'm going to go with one. I've mentioned this before, but I think it was so weird, and I'm going to watch it again. I didn't know where this movie was going. I can't say that it's an actual, quote unquote, scary movie, but there is a lot of scary stuff in it and a lot of weird stuff in it. It's called Strange Darling. And if you don't know what Strange Darling is, just Google it and you'll figure it out. But that movie, I could not figure out what was going to happen next. And it had a Halloween type feel. It's basically about you think one thing and it's actually the other thing. And so that twist, every movie has a twist, I'm not giving anything away, was really good.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right, my daily gripe today is very simple for me. It's called It's not called anything. It's just forgetting my backpack. That's my daily gripe. I left my house today without grabbing my backpack. I don't know why. I usually always have it with me when I leave the house. I make sure that I have it. But when I don't bring my backpack, I struggle because I have to wear these big old headphones that I'm not used to wearing, and they sound weird on my head. I don't have a computer to like set up Tony's camera. So I struggled with that. I had all my notebooks in my bag, so I couldn't look back at my notes earlier. It was bad. Daily gripe was me forgetting my backpack today because everything I have for my job is in there. And that was pretty dumb. I was actually like at a stoplight, and I turned around to make sure my backpack was there, and boom, it was not. It's sitting at home where it always sits. So that was dumb. That was very dumb. All right. Tigers up 2-1, bottom of the sixth, 2 outs. Scooble still on the mound. It's the weekend, everybody. I hope everyone has a great weekend, has a safe weekend, and we will talk to you again on Monday. Have a good night.